Kia ora no e te whānau, so I just wanted to give you an understanding of what that Moteatea, he Moteatea tēnā. Moteatea is a chant that specifically belongs to Pokimi. So in the first verse, ko rangi nui e tūnei, so above us is rangi nui. And in the stories of when they were once embraced, Papa Tūnuku and Rangi Nui, and they were separated and turned their Papa Tūnuku so that we live on her back. And from that separation, Rangi Nui's cried a lot, and so his tears from the sky formed the rivers and the sea on Papa Tūnuku. So I Heke Roimata talks about the tears of Rangi Nui crying on his loved one, Papa Tūnuku. And so I te tihi o te maunga taranaki is that those tears, they sit at the top of our mountain and form rivers all the way down from the top of the maunga down, all the way down to Pokimi. And the two rivers that go into Pokimi are known as Hikapiro and Rautini are the name of our rivers, and those rivers are the kaitiaki of the kouda, freshwater crayfish, and the tuna that bit my waiwai. Yeah, ngau taku waiwai, when I was had my foot in there, blessing a rākau, he greeted me with a bite on my foot. He second verse is he tūpuna he mokapuna, and that is from our tūpuna, from our ancestors, this land has descended down to us. We are all the mokapuna of today. Oh, except for Auntie Mari and my mother. You're old. Anyway, tuitu te whenua o Pokimi means the land is still here. And our tūpuna have still maintained and kept it for us. Mauria mai ngā taonga tuku iho no te maunga taranaki. So all the goodness on that land all comes from the mountain. We have special awa there, we have special fish, we have special things that grew from it, all come from the maunga. That's Brett's kōrero. Toki nui, toki roa, toki hai hai. Tūai ngā toka Māori o Pokimi. Toki nui, toki roa, that talks about carving, the carving of the rock that we're doing on Pokimi. And toki nui is the long and hard work of the chisel. Mind you, I'm using very modern cutting tools at the moment, but still represents the toki. So the toka is the rocks that sit on Pokimi, and they are the Māori that look after the Māori of the land. And those rocks came from Poke. And if you know in Taranaki, there's lots of little hills, those little hills all around our area, Rahotu, all around there, well, they're called Poke. And that's where those rocks, our Māori rocks, come from, underneath them. So, Ngāti Haupoto, Tūwaka Hekerangi, Ngāti Tana are hapu that belong to Pokimi. So that's verse 3. Verse 4 is Pokimi ki runga, so Pokimi from above, Pokimi from below, Pokimi that's all around us, and Pokimi i roto, that's our whakapapa. Pokimi i roto i ahau represents the whakapapa. And everything else is the things that come from heaven, the things that come from Rangi Nui, from Papa Tūnuku, and all the things that sit there waiting for us to all go home. Mā te wā. So, yep, I whiri, I whatu, I whakairo, those are the things that have been sowed and talked about many years ago for us to come back and live on Pokimi again. So that's verse 4. Verse 5 is that in times of old, our tūpuna from the times of old, and that's who Tuahu from Ngāti Tara, and Moewaiti from Ngāti Haupoto, and they built that house on Pokimi. They built the whare, and they built it out of raupo, and Nico was on the roof, auntie, and of course Aruhe, and I whāriki te pape, they laid down on the ground, ngā rau Aruhe, as moinga for the beds, and that's what our grandparents slept on. So that's verse 5. Verse 6 is from the mountain we've got special puna, and those are springs that come directly from the maunga into Pokimi. And there are special springs there that cleaned our bodies. So that's hikapiro, that's where our nannies used to wash themselves in there. and there's other awa in there for blessing and spring water. And those rivers were used by Tuahu, who used to bless people there and heal people. He was a healer, and he used to use those special springs to heal whānau. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so no, that's verse 6. Verse 7 is in the time when Pokimi, the house, stood. There were many hui there and many wānanga, because heaps was going on in that time. And they would wānanga all night and all day and all night and just keep going wānanga, to find solutions and to help them with whatever was going on at that time. Ko te pūnga were e tohu tīmata, that's about they never ever started those hui until they saw a spider. And the spider was a tohu, was a sign to say, okay, you can start your hui now. And so they did, and they just kept going until they were all happy and found the solution. So that's like beautiful. That's beautiful kōrero whānau. Beautiful kōrero. Verse 8 is I tupu I runga I te whenua. So on the land was really known for growing fruit trees. They had awesome gardens, and also known for puti pango. So puti are flowers, but these flowers were black lilies, and they grew black lilies on there. Of course, they had this other name to it, but I won't repeat that one. We just call them puti pango, black lilies. And also kaimoana punawai ika. So one story that I used to hear from our grandfather is he used to go and get snapper from the sea, and he'd take it back to on the land of Pokimi somewhere. I remember Koro talking about that. And he'd build a little rua and make a little like a puna, like a little spring there, and he'd put the snapper in there, and it would change the taste or the āhua of the fish. And of course Pokimi was known for feeding all those people that would walk from different iwi all around the motu, and they'd walk to Parihaka, and on their way they'd stop off by us, because we had yummy food there, and they would have a kai and then carry on their hikoi to Parihaka. Pretty cool, eh? Tupuna is pretty cool, right? And verse 9 is on the 13th of every month. All of the whānau from Pokimi came back home, and they celebrated with a big kai. And that time, when they celebrated with a big kai, so all the women would sit down, just the women, and all the men would serve us. Gee, I wonder if we can do that again, eh? It's because we wahines was tapu, so we couldn't climb over the food. So, nā tāne I whakarite. So tāne, they prepared all the kai and, of course, fed us. Gee, you reckon you could do that some more, tāne mā? I reckon. It's a bit of change in the household, nō reira. Verse 10 is te puanga te whetū marama. So over there in the east coast, they have matariki, but over here in Taranaki, we have a star called puanga. So matariki, I think, is about 9 stars that come out to celebrate the new year, Tauhou Māori, which means the new year, Māori year. But over here in Taranaki, we have puanga, and that's when we know that it's the new year. It's the time of harvest. It's the time of, cold winter. But it was also the time when my grandfather was born on Pokimi in that house. He was born in there on the 18th of June, and that was the time of puanga and the time of the new year. And he was born in there, and he couldn't come out of that house for 1 year. So piripoho means he had to stay close to his mother's, that's where you hold baby in your chest. And he had to stay inside that house and couldn't come out for 1 whole year. A year later, ka puta ia, he came out into Te Ao Marama, and my granddad's name is called Te Rā Waiwiri. And so that's a little bit that my family know about Pokimi, but we never even knew where Pokimi was, and now that I know, I can now sing this. So ngā mihi taku koro, Tom Te Rā Waiwiri, who was born in Pokimi on the 18th of June in early 1900 somewhere. Anyway, Number 11 talks about all the mokopuna from the seven brothers and sisters that came from Tuahu and Moewaiti, all of their children. So we are all the mokopuna of those seven. And we've all come together. So there's a few of us that have come together I was hoping from each one of those whakapapa to carve the toka, to carve the kaitiaki in the rivers, a tuna and a koura, freshwater crayfish on those big rocks there. So that's what that's about. And the last one is asking that there's a whole lot of goodness on that land, and let's go home and get it. Sow the seeds from above, sow our seeds from below. This is our tūranga waiwai, this is our place of standing, this is what our tūpuna put there for us. From our tūpuna, we are the mokopuna, and tomorrow we will be the tūpuna. And so we will hand all of this down to the next generation. So, haumi e hui e taiki means let's all gather and be one and go home and live on the land. Nō reira tātou te whānau, nei rā, te Moteatea or Pokimi, and you're almost welcome to it. Some of it I sung, there's a few words I got a bit wrong, but we're going to put it up on there, and you fellas take it home for you. And you know, a chant doesn't really have a tune to it, and it should be flat as, and not some latest nice song that you've heard. It should be flat and a chant. So nō reira tātou te whānau nā mihi o te wā, mai runga ki raro ki roto ki waho, riri hau, pai mā riri.